I think a good place to start would be recently I went to Liverpool for a deaf gathering and we were all chatting away. And I noticed it's not a bad thing, but there were a couple groups of deaf people that were cochlear implant users that didn't know how to sign. And I could see that there was a bit of division split into two. So you know me, I like to bring people together. So I went over. And I tried to talk to them and realised that they didn't sign. They spoke. And I said, not a problem, I can speak too. And they were amazed. They didn't realise that there were people like them that could speak. And it's a little bit of a growing number of these cases of isolation that I've noticed. And it's important because I used to work for Cochlear before, for the good ins department. And I don't want to criticise Cochlear themselves because as a company, they've done so many good things. They've done a lot of good. However, I do feel that I need to remind myself a company is a business. Although the product itself is fascinating, it brings hearing to us. But I feel that there is a misunderstanding as to what is actually provided. Sound is not essentially a cure. When I started working at Cochlear, I had to talk. No one there had any deaf awareness apart from one person who I got on really well with. I liked him, but my colleagues didn't sign. And I found that quite interesting because Cochlear didn't have people who understood sign language. It was a business where they were focused on making money. And I respect that. It is a business. We as people, we can't say, for example, you can't teach a fish how to swim from a bird's perspective, but it knows how to fly. But you can't teach other animals how to do what they can't do. So there is a little bit of confusion there in the cochlear profession. People look at them to be the experts in what they're selling, but they're not wearing the shoes of the people that they're treating. When I was working there, they were actually telling me, please don't sign. And I found that a bit oppressive because I was the mascot for family day events and I used to dress up in this cool outfit and be known as Casey the koala bear. But because the mask was on me, the kids were unable to lip read me. And this was when I was helping out at family day events. And I had to sign to them. There was an instant connection and it felt good. And it showed the families there. And most families were all hearing. I didn't see any deaf parents. They were all hearing parents. And after they came up to me and say, it's amazing how they saw their kids' eyes light up when you signed to them. And I felt that that was really important to me. To my shock, before they actually let me go, the marketing manager approached me and asked me at the next event, please don't sign. And I was like, wow. And I felt like that was the starting point of where the relationship between me and Cochlear started to break down. Again, I don't want to criticise them for what they've done, but I feel that people within the business are not the same people who originally founded Cochlear. It's become a business now. They want to make money. My experience within Cochlear was essentially that I was ashamed to be deaf. I wasn't allowed to be deaf. And it was weird. There was another instance that happened at a family day event. They were introducing me to some of the families present because I could speak quite well. My mother was a language teacher. My upbringing was essentially that of the promotional video. I was taught that you should speak properly. Now I no longer speak without cochlear implants. I feel freer. One of the staff members, I remember they were speaking to one of the parents and they said, "Look how well Paul can speak because he has a cochlear implant." And I said, "No, I've been speaking since I was a child. I wore hearing aids first. I only really started using implants when I was 14." And there was an odd reaction to that because the parents were like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. You had hearing aids and you could still learn to speak." And I said, "Well, of course. I'm sorry, but there's something that needs to be addressed here." When I was wearing hearing aids, the sound I could hear was okay. I could hear things, but it wasn't perfect. The opportunity was offered to me to have a cochlear implant because it would help with my balance, because I had a lot of vertigo and dizzy spells. Especially when I was hit on the head, I'd be all over the place, and the doctor recommended this to help my hearing and balance. So I thought, that's fine, I'm up for that. And I had the implant, and I was a bit disappointed because the sound dropped. The sound quality actually went down. And I explained this to the Cochlear staff, and they all became funny with me, saying, no, that shouldn't have happened. And the common expectation is an implant is a cure, and it should make things better. And because I started to say the contrary, that's when my job role changed. And that's when I noticed they started getting funny with me. I also brought in deaf awareness training, just as a way of saying, please wake up. And the staff didn't take to it very well. They were quite rude within the meetings, and it wasn't a nice experience. There was a lot of mocking happening, a lot of joking. It's sad that it looks like people are still of a mindset that because I can't communicate with you, that's your problem. And they don't seem to understand that. We're all human. We all have capabilities. We just need to adapt. We're forcing deaf people to adapt to their standards. And it's affecting us. Looking back to when I went to Liverpool, I saw those people that seemed to be at a crossroads. They looked lost. They looked like they really wanted to be involved, but they're afraid. And I think it's a shame.